A little more attention on your accoutrements.
You're not here, dear. Nice. Nice. That went on camera. I'd kill you. Okay.
Uh-oh.
That's
Hey, I
okay.
put it as politically correct as I could.
You did okay. Nice. All right. So everyone got to hear that. Lovely. We'll start in just 1 second. If there's anyone there, nope, there's no one there. Phew. Which doesn't mean much because, okay, I will start. Okay. Welcome. Oh, T. Rogers. Yay, you're here. Thanks for being here. Just starting late as usual. Today's exciting though because Don is coming on again, Colonel Don. So hopefully we'll have a few people coming on and saying hi. So welcome. Oh, Carrie Beck, you're here too. Yay! Thank you. Welcome everybody to Real Talk with Angry Soccer Mom. And today Colonel Don will be in and we'll be talking about a lot of crazy stuff as usual. The live show discussion topics, as always, include anything you feel is newsworthy about racism, bigotry, inequality, and corruption in America. And unfortunately, that's pretty much anything. Today will be a little bit different because we're having a guest. So we'll stick to some of the topics when normally we just go wherever we want. The show's meant to be an opportunity for viewers to speak their mind and have their voice heard, but also to serve as an educational tool in cultural competency with a focus on learning the truth about systemic racism in America and our racial history for white folks. So we're going to have a guest, which I will introduce in just a minute, or two, or 10, or 5. I want to make some quick announcements. I had my very first Sunday, I guess I called it a free stream, and it was amazing. A little bit different than I thought it would, but here's the thing. There's not going to be a plan for it. I'm going to come on and be reading articles and doing research and doing things, and anybody who wants to say hi is welcome to jump on in and say hello to me. Last time we got into a huge discussion about vaccinations and medical racism and then a whole bunch of other things, and it was wonderful. I just want to get to know the people who are coming to my stream rather than have me just put a performance or a kind of a program on. I just coming on for free stream and it turned out great, my first one. So I'll be there this Sunday coming up from 3 to 5 and I'll be hanging out. Thank you to everybody who people have been sending me amazing breaking news. I appreciate it because I can't keep up. And if you want to get a hold of me personally, there's where you can grab me and personal message me. It's my Facebook page that I actually have going still. It's a miracle. Another announcement on March 7th, which is I guess it's 2 Sundays from, yeah, wow. So I can't believe how this time's flying. I'm going to be doing our first meeting of the book chat group. And the book chat group, it's kind of like a book club, but you don't have to read the book unless you want to, because I will be basically doing a 2-minute summary of it. And this book's amazing. Even if you are not kind of new at learning about our real racial history and the truth about systemic racism in America, this book's amazing. I mean, at each meeting, I'll summarize a chapter and we'll really quickly, and we'll have a discussion. And I'll be sending out formal invitations this week. Let me see, what else is there? Oh, the book, White Fragility, to start. White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. Ronald, welcome. Thanks for being here. So I'm very excited about it, and I am going to make a concise summary if it kills me, and it actually might. So let's see. If you want to call in after the rant, all I ask is that you stay on topic because we have a guest coming in today. And normally you can call in whenever you want, but because we have a guest, be a little strict today. So I will start with my rant, and today's topics in general, we're going to talk about Texas and what's going on with them. And when Don comes, he's going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Georgia and what's going on with them, doing a power grab. What do we expect? And then my rant, we'll just make it a surprise, okay? We're going to talk about some things that have been going on and about our nation. And feel free to ask questions and give me your opinion because I want to know what you think. And I know Don does too. So with that in mind, I will try to buzz through this rant. I'm pretty passionate about it, so don't be scared of me. I mean well. All right, so let me get started. And then we'll have introduce Don and go from there. History has taught us history's taught us that one key way a nation can become really unstable is by losing trust in their government. I think we all know that now. These past 4 years have kind of made that crystal clear that the longevity of our great American experiment is not a given. One way to guarantee instability and facilitate the twilight of our democracy is by propagating fake and misleading news. I think we've seen a ton of propaganda on that and fake news in the last 4, 5, 6 years. It's really not been good. Pretty much ever since you know who started. And you know what? To be honest, it's been before that, but it's gone crazy. So it is not good. And I always felt kind of helpless in stopping fake news and misleading news as a single individual. I mean, I have no control over what wealthy social media companies allow or post or what primetime TV outlets cover their news. I'm just one person. I don't have power. But this week I discovered that it's even the people who support equity and justice who may be adding to the problem, and that includes me. I guess I was just kind of thinking it was the big corporations, but we can play a role. And you're probably like, what is she talking about? So I will tell you. By now, we're no stranger to fake news and propaganda, whether it comes from the wealthiest elites, the GOP, the far right, or groups that aren't even in our nation, basically foreign countries. People already, they know their shtick. They know you get reliable resources. They know to double and triple and, fact check and do all this and get a variety. And, but here's the thing. There are other things, simple things that we can do. And I think a lot of us are guilty of it. I'm not coming down on you guys. I'm just anyone who watches this. It's just something to think about. So some breaking news that came out this week perfectly exemplifies how even well-meaning people can inadvertently perpetuate misinformation. And this week, here's how it started. Here's how it happened. A friend gave me a tip on some breaking news, and they told me, and I was thrilled because I love getting breaking news because I can't keep up. And what they did was they told me that the criminal case against the Karen or the racist Central Park Karen from 2020, the incident happened in 2020, had just been dropped by a Manhattan court judge. And so I was like, dang, that's all they said. And so I went, of course, and I do what I do. I Googled it, I cross-checked it, and I came up with a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 20 in a row, Google articles that all had the same type, comments and headlines. So I was like, dang, I just kept scrolling and scrolling, and it kept coming and coming, and I saw dozens of similar headlines. NPR had this. It said, and this is this week, NPR said, Amy Cooper, white woman who called police on black birdwatcher, has charges dismissed. Washington Post. Charges dismissed against Amy Cooper, who called police on black birdwatcher in a viral Central Park video. New York Times. Amy Cooper, who falsely accused black birdwatcher, has charges dismissed. Now, I'm not targeting these particular media outlets. Don't get me wrong. I could have named pretty much any of them. There was scores of them, but this breaking news would naturally provoke an immediate emotional response from anyone who saw this, any one of the 40 million people who saw the viral video of what happened. it basically showed a New York City woman calling the police on a black man after he politely asked her to put a leash on her dog because he was bird watching. It's an area where people bird watch in Central Park, and her dog was running wild, and she went nuts. She lost it. She said, I'm going to call the cops and I'm going to tell them there's an African American man threatening my life. And she pretty much followed through with that and did that. He wasn't threatening her life, but as most of us have seen in the video, that's pretty scary stuff. So it became common knowledge. I mean, it's become common knowledge, at least in the Trump era. I hope it's common knowledge. I think it's common knowledge that if you call the police on a black man in America for doing nothing, that's putting his life in imminent danger. It's absolutely, that's a horrible thing. It's a power play. It's a white supremacist power play is what it is. And it's historical. It has, oh my God, ugly. There's so much I could go on and on, but I won't. So I think that's pretty much common knowledge. She knew what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was doing, and it was freaking obnoxious. Needless to say, the incident was headlines again, and Amy Cooper, the woman who called the police, ended up losing her job, losing custody of her little dog temporarily, and had numerous death threats against her. So she also had this criminal case pending, which this week came to fruition. And so here's my point. Yes, I have a point. The headlines were misleading. The headlines I saw were misleading. And it wasn't one place. I just talked about NPR, Washington Post, and what did I say? The New York Times. I mean, these are significant media sources. Of the 40 million people who saw the viral video last year, how many people do you think really read the article this week? Or did they just look at the headlines and, I mean, a lot of them probably thought, did I really need to read the article? Because we all know in America, racists get away with murder and judges let them go. They get away with murder and with impunity. Police do too, pretty much. We all do. What, white folks? It's what we do in America. It's called systemic racism, and it is unconscionable. The fact was, though, that yes, the case was dismissed, but how misleading. The fact was the victim, Christian Cooper, no relation to the Amy Cooper, just chance, had already made his intentions clear in a number of interviews. Apparently, Mr. Cooper felt that after the incident went global and she had been punished and people had made death threats and whatnot, and she lost her job, she lost her dog. I mean, her life was destroyed as far as he was concerned. And the rap was, the rap that they could have gotten her on was about for a year in prison. And it was tossed after she completed, and this sounds very, very sketchy to me, and it probably does to you too. However, it's the truth. It's what happened. She completed 5 therapy sessions as a part of an alternative restorative justice resolution designed not to be punitive, but to educate and promote community healing. Now, people might go, like, gag, give me a break. I think prison is ludicrously punitive for adults, out of control, and a horrific thing, having nothing to do with this case. But that being said, this man was the victim. The victim's statement, he said, this was him. And so this is what he wanted. And here's his statement from the New York Times. On one hand, she's already paid a steep price, Mr. Cooper said in a statement on Tuesday, and that was not this Tuesday. It was a while back. That's not enough of a deterrent to others. Bringing her more misery, that's a question. Bringing her more misery seems like piling it on. But he added that he understood there was a greater principle at stake and that this should be defended. So if the DA feels the need to pursue charges, he should pursue charges. But he can do that without me. And that's a quote from the man who basically had his life threatened by this woman who, it was unbelievable. I don't need to get into it. You guys probably all know about it. This isn't just one case, though, on Facebook or on any social media. You'll find this over and over and over again. I had plenty of people responding, go figure, da-da-da-da, who didn't read the article. It's not you. That's what we do. There's too much information out there. I've seen the pattern over and over again, especially in the last 5 years. I get it. There's too much information out there. Not enough time. So we read headlines. We're busy. We believe that we know it already. But the problem is we are contributing to fake news and basically taking away from actual judges who are racist as hell and who do dismiss cases for nothing when the victim wants it prosecuted and the victim has been horribly hurt like this man. I mean, so the thing is, it's just details matter. We got to dig deep. It's just too easy to be fooled. We got to read and research and question and scrutinize. And I think this incident, you know, and the way it was handled by the victim has caused some controversy. And I was hoping Don and I could talk about it for a little bit. And actually, this is something sort of strange that happened. The Central Park birder, Christian Cooper, who was the victim of this crime, ended up, I guess he's a talented graphic novelist, and he made a graphic novel, so I'm going to put that up and you guys can take a look at it. It was pretty darn amazing, about racism, and it was pretty much his story. So here's the column number, and here's the graphic. I thought it was really cool that he tried to, take this horrible situation. It must have been absolutely traumatizing, and he tried to make it right. And on that, make it something positive out of it. And on that lovely note, I want to introduce Don, and then I will ask him what his opinion on what Christian Cooper chose to do is. So Don, come on down. My friend Don is here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Glad to be of service.
Yay! For those of you who do not know, oh my gosh, those of you who do not know, Don is a friend. A friend of mine, and I wanted to introduce him. He's Colonel Crumlin, or Colonel Don. He's a former military commander and currently a certified health and wellness consultant. Show your muscles. No, you don't have to. Sorry. Don was the senior quality advisor at Hewlett Packard, and he is not just a knowledgeable man, but he is my friend, and he's been incredible to me and supportive. Don has a blog and a health and fitness page, and you say yes, sir, to him. Just kidding. No, I don't think you have to. I think it's okay. And I'm thrilled to have him. So please ask him anything, comments, call in. But my first question to him is, so what, as a black man living in America, you know the story. What's your take? This guy, did what he's a victim. He gets to,
Well, as I'm sure your audience knows, that this is a very troubling issue for a number of reasons, a lot of which you stated extremely well. But it also relates back to the very beginning of the early days of the civil rights movement, when Emmett Till allegedly, it later came out many years later, did not actually whistle at a white female. And because of that, she pointed him out. A mob gathered, they kidnapped him, they tortured him, and they murdered him and dumped him in the river. His body was extremely grotesque. He was an adolescent.
He's 14 years old. He's a child.
Yes, he was an adolescent, barely in not even at fully his mid-teens. And it wasn't until many years later, after all of the key people, except for the woman herself, finally came out and said that she made the whole thing up. And the loss of life, not only the loss of life, but the way that he lost his life as a barely not even heading into manhood.
He was visiting his grandparents. He was a child.
He was a child. And this incident, unfortunately, brought so many memories of that whole concept. In the previous regime that we had just survived, the Führer's Fourth Reich, that put a premium on encouraging, not just endorsing, but encouraging excessive police behavior, especially with regard to uh, underrepresented people. And we've seen it. By the way, this Cooper incident that we are talking about happened on the exact same day that George Floyd was killed. So things happen for a reason, and the coincidence could not be ignored. She went through racial equity and sensitivity training and learned a lot. She lost her job, received a lot of negative feedback, including apparently some death threats.
Yeah, she did.
He took the high road and said, enough is enough. She's suffered enough. I do not wish to participate in the prosecution. The prosecutorial district attorney dropped the charges, so there really wasn't anything for the judge to do other than comply with that and basically agree with the state's position to not pursue further charges against this person. She basically has to rebuild her life. Hopefully she has experienced enough to be fully educated on the potential life-threatening act that she put upon this young man who was doing nothing other than bird watching while black.
Yep.
And that to have, for him to have potentially lost his life over something that petty is beyond troubling. It really is. And when you tie it in with the fact that it was the same day that George Floyd lost his life, and that it has such strong remembrances of the Emmett Till situation that I just described, in its totality of where we are and where we need to go, and I'm sure we're going to get to a better place. And in fact, President Biden has already introduced